I launched Coffee and Contracts and I was doing all of that stuff. And then within 3 months, I was able to quit all of the other jobs because I was waiting until I had enough members that I felt comfortable that I was making like what I was making at my other jobs. So then I was able to quit them and just focus on that.
Welcome to The Breakthrough with Stephen Houston, the show that takes you behind the scenes with successful entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and other movers and shakers in the business world. In each episode, we'll sit down with our guests to explore their personal and professional journeys, including the challenges they faced, the breakthrough moments that propelled them to success, and the strategies and the tactics they used to get there. Get inspired by new ideas and strategies and get to know our guests on a deeper level. Join us for candid conversations, powerful insights, and plenty of breakthrough moments. Please help us grow by subscribing and sharing the podcast, and welcome to the show. Welcome to another episode with your host, Stephen. Today, we dive into conversation with Haley Ingram, the creative mind behind Coffee and Contracts. Haley discusses her exciting journey in content creation and how she helps real estate agents improve their digital presence. With interesting tidbits about her approaches to video content creation, leveraging tools like Canva and ChatGPT. Beyond that, Haley opens up about the importance of adding personal touches to marketing, reflecting on how her own journey has shaped her perspective. This episode promises to be a treasure trove of practical advice, perfect for those looking to uplift their content strategy. So brace yourself for an exciting conversation that bridges the gap between business strategies and creative execution. Let's get started. We are live.
Woo.
Yeah. How many podcasts have you done over the years?
Not too many. I would say less than 10.
Less than 10?
Yeah.
How do you feel before you get on? Do you try to think about it, like how things are going to go during that session? Like, do you think like, first, what they're going to ask me? Like, what kind of question? Yeah.
It helps when people send questions beforehand, but I feel like it always just kind of flows into just a regular conversation.
Yes.
The first couple times that I did a podcast, I was extremely nervous before, like just profusely sweating and very, very nervous. I feel like I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it though. As those things, as they do, you know.
I think it just starts off. You have to just keep doing more and more. And I think you just get better. And I think that's pretty much with everything. It seems like it's almost like shooting video.
Yeah.
They suck in the beginning.
Yeah.
They suck. It's such a hard breakthrough to kind of go through. And then, you go a year into it and you look back and went, oh my gosh, that video was terrible. Gosh, but I've gotten so much better, whether it's slow or fast or whatever the case may be. But for you, I've been following you for, I don't know, maybe 3 to 6 months. I noticed that I started seeing a couple posts and I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is some good value. And then it just kept progressively getting better and better.
Oh, nice.
And then to the point where I told my assistant, I'm like, let's get Haley on the podcast because I have so many agents now that follow me. I think this would be a good episode to have because most of the episodes so far, it's all real estate related, but it's, real estate investors, some agents. So it's been all across the board, but I feel like you're at a whole different kind of scenario that a lot of agents are definitely needing, especially this day and age when, everybody's saying you got to make video, you got to, build the brand, you got to do all these different things. And a lot of people are just busy and they just don't know where to start. And they're used to how things were 5-10 years ago. And things have definitely changed. But I would love to know a little bit about your backstory. I know that you were an agent at one point. You worked with another agent and was helping with marketing, and it kind of took off. And then can you just give me a good little breakdown story of just your really the beginnings and how it ended up to where you are now?
Yeah. So I was an agent, and that was probably, I got my real estate license in like 2016, 2017, maybe. I was still in college at UCF in Orlando. I graduated from college and moved to St. Pete, Florida. And when I got my real estate license in college, I was working at a small brokerage where they just kind of like gave you the leads, or at least right when I got my license. I started as a marketing intern there, so that's how I got introduced to it. Right when I got my license, I kind of just like gave me leads, and I was like, this is awesome. Real estate is so easy. And
So easy.
and so then I moved to St. Pete, and I quickly realized I signed up with a brokerage that you had to pay a monthly fee to be a part of. And
Oh, wow. Who was that? Who's that?
Remax.
Okay.
And I just knew someone that was at Remax, and so that's why I joined it. And I sold nothing for pretty much the entire time I was there. But when I was there, I got introduced to Canva a little bit more, which is now where I create like all of our marketing templates. But basically, I was struggling as a real estate agent, but I created an Instagram account to grow my business just because my brokerage was telling me to door knock and cold call and all that stuff. And I just didn't understand how I was going to do that. So I was like, I'm just going to create an Instagram account for this and tell my friends about it and share what I'm doing and use that to promote my business and see what happens. And I feel like that was kind of before it was really like well known to use Instagram in that way, or it was.
What year was that?
It wasn't. 2018, 2019. I feel like
okay.
2017, 2018. So it wasn't like things were just a little different then. But I ended up getting leads from Instagram and seeing results from that way more. I also paid for like Zillow leads, and I didn't close a single one of those. It was just felt like a lot more like natural, organic way. The people that I met through Instagram were actually like people I could be friends with.
Right.
But with all of that, I was still not like selling enough houses that I was like killing it as an agent. Things were starting to grow. Like my Instagram was really starting to get results. But at that time, I was just also realizing I don't even really like real estate that much. I hate phone calls and confrontation, and it seems like a really big part of real estate. But I just I could spend hours making stuff in Canva and focusing on marketing. That's like all I really cared about. And I would spend way more of my time doing that than I would doing anything I was supposed to be doing as a real estate agent.
Oh my gosh. I could definitely agree on that now.
Yeah, maybe a lot of people do that, but it's way more fun than the other stuff that you have to do. But basically other agents, actually a couple agents in St. Pete reached out and they wanted me to manage their social media. So I started doing that, basically became like a social media manager. And then I met a girl who created a membership website for her personal training business. And I kind of saw how I could do that with my social media clients, how I could make a membership website, give them the content, give them the plan, kind of like a social media fitness training or, personal training. Here's your plan. So I made a membership website just on my own on WordPress, kind of figured it out and launched that. And within a few months, it was like my full-time job. And yeah, so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, that's great. And that's funny that you bring up, probably because you're such a creator that you gravitated more towards that, and the other parts were just in real estate. You're like, I just don't gravitate towards this.
I was also a lot younger I had never bought a house at that point, and I was, just out of college. So I felt I lacked a lot of confidence that I feel like I would be a better real estate agent now, or even like later on after I sell my house and buy another one or something. But I just had no confidence because I was like, I had like a mentor who was an agent. And I was like, I would just use him. He seems to know a lot more than I do.
what was your background before even the real estate? Like, did you have a creative background? I mean, you're in marketing, but you're also creative in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. And that's a huge part of, they go hand in hand, but
Yeah.
what were you doing prior to that? Like,
I've
did you have a
always
lot of creative
been,
backgrounds and things you were doing?
yeah, so I've always like known that I was good at marketing, and I mean I didn't have like any corporate background really or like a career before any of this. But in my jobs, like I worked at a gym and helped with their marketing and stuff like that. I've always been really into drawing, and just like art in general. And I wanted to major in graphic design, but the school I got into didn't really offer anything for that. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at all. I thought at one point that I wanted to be a teacher just because I don't know. I was just like, it looks like a fun job. So I just went to school like undecided as a major for a really long time, but then decided to major in communications because I felt like it was kind of broad enough. But within that, I took a lot of courses in like public relations and advertising and marketing and stuff like that. So I learned a little bit in school, but a lot of it was just practicing through. First, I got a marketing internship at that real estate, at the brokerage in college. So that was a good introduction. And then
Did you work
just
with an agent that was you basically started taking over his marketing and he was getting leads and it really blew up? Did I hear
so
that one?
first it was I was doing the brokerage's Instagram and all of their
Okay.
social media. So then it was just kind of learning a lot about the real estate industry in general, and or just what that's like because I really had no experience in it before. But then once I had taken on clients, I like in social media management, I helped a few people. They generated leads. A lot of them were like already had a very good personal brand. So I can't say if it was me or just them being an awesome agent, but I just helped them. A lot of times, like it's just that they struggled with like had the time to do what they knew they needed to do, getting
Right.
things up and getting them scheduled and making them look nice. So it was a lot of that for those people.
That's a big part of it, especially for agents that are super busy.
Hmm.
They know that they need to start doing it, but they just can't find that time. And
Yeah.
it definitely makes sense because you jump into media. I've had agents reach out and like, I really want to start shooting videos. I want to start doing all the, like everything that's going on. I see it online. You better get really organized and have really amazing time management because
Hmm.
it could turn into a whole nother career in itself, so to
Yeah.
speak, because there's a lot of time. I'm a terrible writer, and I'm so glad that Chat GPT came around
Hmm.
because when it came out in like November, I was sitting at like Pete's Coffee, grabbing coffee, and I wanted to write a little caption for one of my videos, and I'm just terrible at writing. I always screw up. I got ADHD. I write something out, and it's like missing two words, and I would
Hmm.
threw it into Chat GPT, and it like spit it out, and I was like, oh, that's so perfect.
Yeah.
Copy and paste, put it in there, and we got a lot of good tools these days as agents. It's just really organizing the time. And I think that I wish you were around, 10 years ago for me.
Hmm.
I needed you then. There wasn't media was different and social media was different in general. Everything was very kind of static, very boring, plain. It's
Hmm.
only been the last like 4 years that it's really blossomed into something that's so cool. And if you can put people on your team that are creative, sky's the
Hmm.
limit. Like
Yeah.
that is it right there. You can use ChatGPT all you want, but if you don't know how to prompt and you're not creative, it's not going to be the best tool
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah.
And I've seen you do things and I go, oh wow, that was so clever. Like that was so great. It's just like you come at how do you here's what I like to know. What does one of your days look like?
Mm.
Beginning to end. Like tell me how you work. What does your workflow look like? Are you somebody who is building out a bunch of content or working with your clients and calendaring it all out so that it's like built out in advance so that you can kind of step back and take other creative projects on to kind of get that going? Because it's a big process being creative. Like, you know, it's not a mechanical thing. It is, but you have to kind of come up with all those things, especially all the things you put on there. They're like, here's some tips for fall. Like those are creative things. You got to spend some time to like dive into that. How do you go about doing this on a daily basis? Or how do you time block it? Yeah.
So I have honestly been really working on a system for our content creation. So like for Coffee and Contracts and our social media and all of that. Right now, I wish I could say I had a better process, but it's really just like whenever I get inspired. Like if you look at our posts, we haven't been very consistent, but my goal is to get consistent. But I have just been kind of, whenever I feel inspired or have an idea, then I get really excited about it and I'll just, start creating it. But I am working on creating a system where I'm filling in the gaps by like hiring people that are good at the things that I'm not good at.
Yes.
So we were talking about video content, creating YouTube videos and reels. And I have really struggled with just getting those done because it gets so frustrating because you turn on the camera and you're like, how do I start this? And is this going to be good? And then you just create something and you ramble on too long and it doesn't turn out to be good. So I realized that I actually have to write a script. I have to, have a plan. But I really want to get something going where like I have someone where I have a bunch of scripts that I have written and I say, these are how I like my scripts. And now can you use these to write me more scripts like this? Find someone good to help me write those. And then just have like a system where I'm like bulk creating videos in one day, changing out my t-shirt and then sending it to a video editor who edits it. And we have like this process going along. I feel like that's where I hope to be in the next month or 2 months or so. But because I've realized with like, we create our members content each month and there's a whole process that goes along with that where it used to all just be me and writing the caption, coming up with the post ideas, writing the caption, creating the graphics, buying the images. And now we have this whole process where we have a copywriter writing the captions because she's better at it and that's what she does. And then it goes on and we, take it through this process. So that's my plan. I hope to have a better process soon.
Well, that's good to hear. It's refreshing to hear that you're working through your own issues, because online, everybody can think, wow, Haley's got it dialed in. She's got it all figured out. But in the back, you're going through a whole nother side of the business and trying to figure out that too. And everybody is on that. The thing is to kind of start and work through it, have your highs and lows. And that's the reality of content creation, media. It's one of those things where it's trial and error. The only difference is it gets posted online for people to look at, and some of it you'd probably just like, I don't like. I look back at a lot of my videos. Once I've kind of gotten this weird thing, I don't watch a lot of them when I finish them. Like I'll approve them for my editor and then I won't watch. But now I'm getting to that point where I know which ones will do good. I know which ones won't. Even though we'll put it out, I go, okay, we're going to put this one out. I know it's going to hit. And it does. And it's just because there's a very strong hook. It's dramatic, and it's got a storyline and it's going to keep people on from the beginning to the end. And then there's sometimes when I just don't want to have it that way. I want to just create a piece of content, and I get inspired and inspiration is such a huge thing. And I don't know in real estate, I think realtors in general, some of them are just really strong at sales. Some are really strong. You have to have a lot of different hats in real estate. And I think that with being creative, sometimes that's just not one of them. They would rather stick to doing the same types of, marketing pieces, same type of cold calling or whatever the case may be, doing a walkthrough video that just talks about the house with, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but no one really cares about that part. They'd rather know a story behind what am I going to get when I I'm going to buy this house, but what am I getting? Am I getting that cool coffee shop that I really love to visit, on the weekends, or is there a cool park? It's just a different ball game. And now that, you're doing what you're doing I would imagine definitely helping a lot of agents out, kind of move forward and have a little bit more better presence online, with the type of, what you're doing for them. So the agents that are coming to you, what is their biggest needs that they're looking for in you and your business?
A lot of it is kind of what we talked about, just not having the
The time.
or either the knowledge or the they just don't want to do it. They don't like to they're like, "Oh, I just hate technology. I don't want to do it. You do it." And that's complete opposite for me. So either they don't have the time to do it, they don't know how to do it, or they don't want to do it. Or there's some people who are just like, I don't even know where to begin, and I feel nervous to even get started. And having our content kind of helps them show up confidently and, put a post out there because we have created it, the template for them. So they know that it's okay. They're not second guessing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, and once they start seeing it online and they get a couple, comments and and people say, no, that looks really good. It definitely gives them a boost to kind of keep going, which is kind of the
Exactly.
key. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that you were doing templates on Etsy.
Yeah.
Is that, what were you doing there?
So that was when I was doing social media management. I also, this is when Canva just released the ability to do templates. So in the beginning, you could just share a link to edit the exact, Canva design that I'm also working on. So multiple people couldn't do it unless you made a copy, but you risk someone messing up the template for everyone. Kind of like a Google Doc. And then review link, kind of like Google Docs. So they just released this template feature, and I somehow found out about Etsy, or I think I might have been on Etsy just making logos for people, real estate logos. And I had a design that I would edit for them. So then I started creating things. I think at first it was things that I was using in my own marketing, like flyers and stuff like that, and then sell them on Etsy, which was exciting. It was my first way of kind of selling my templates that wasn't social media management. So that was kind of in the process that led to Coffee and Contracts.
Wow, that's that's cool. And with Coffee and Contracts, did you think it was going to go to where it is now?
No.
Building this community out like what you've done?
No, definitely not. At the time, I was also working 2 other jobs in addition to real estate. I was bartending, which was fun. I liked bartending. And then also I got a job. I was about to throw in the towel on everything and just get a real job. And I was seeing all my friends and stuff and people that I was around starting their careers and stuff like that. And I was trying to start a career in real estate, but I was feeling really discouraged. So I applied to a bunch of jobs. I ended up getting it was a marketing job at a doctor's office. It's actually a really funny long story, but
go for it. Let's hear it.
Well, it was just funny because it was the one call back that I got. Because I was trying to apply for sales jobs, and I just don't think that I'm that great of a salesman. I'm good at selling a product or building a community, but I'm not good at knocking on people's doors and trying to sell them something that they don't want to buy, I guess.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
So I just if someone says no, I'm like, okay, that's fine. So
you don't have to push the envelope after that.
That's why Coffee and Contracts is so great. I'm like, sign up or don't, and if you want to leave, you can cancel. Everything's fine. So, but I ended up getting a job at a doctor's office that was a vein doctor. So they remove varicose veins and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like a marketing job, but they hired me and I don't think they knew what they wanted me to do. They just expected me to come in and be like, which I thought was going to be great but they were like, oh, we already have someone who does our social media marketing and website and all this. I'm like, so what am I here to do? And they were like, you need to go to other doctors' offices and sell them on our office. And it was a long story. They just made me, I've never wanted to be anything near a doctor's office in terms of work. I just go there if I have to go there myself. But they made me shadow the surgeries for like 2 weeks. And I almost passed out multiple times because I'm just watching people. It was bad. It was terrible. I was like, I do not want to be here. But basically, so I launched Coffee and Contracts and I was doing all of that stuff. And then within 3 months, I was able to quit all of the other jobs because I was waiting until I had enough members that I felt comfortable that I was making like what I was making at my other jobs. So then I was able to quit them and just focus on that. And I have this video actually, our Coffee and Contracts 4th birthday is coming up like on Sunday. And I was looking back at old pictures and videos and I took this video for myself, like in a personal journal, like it's like saved in a private drive. But I was like, hey, like I was talking to my future self and I was like saying, I'm so excited. I just quit my job. I was like wearing my scrubs for the doctor's office. And I was like, we currently have like 200 members or it was something like that. And I was like, I'm so excited. I really hope to get to 300 members and then like my life will be complete or something like that. I was like, I'm so excited. And then, so yeah, I had no idea that it was just going to keep growing and growing for a while. So yeah, was not expected.
It's kind of cool to look back on the journey too.
Oh yeah,
right.
For sure.
It, like I said, I was looking back. Somehow I came across. I think it took me 6 months during COVID, the very beginning of COVID, during lockdown. I remember I was watching YouTube videos and I was getting inspired and I was just like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to say. And I would literally press record and just be like, it was just, it was so painful in the very beginning. But I knew I was going to do it. And so I remember I went out to lunch with a good friend of mine. He's he's a mortgage broker. So I took him to lunch and then afterwards I'm like, hey, we're going to shoot a video. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, we're going to shoot a video. You're going to give him a quick tip. And so I basically just put my hand up and said, Brian, give me a quick tip on mortgage. And he's just like, says it. I'm like, thanks for the quick tip. That was it. But and then I posted it and it was like, all these people were just like, thanks for the video and thanks for the tip. And it was like, okay, all right. Like this, this works. This is real. Mm-hmm. But then for me, and I'm only speaking for myself here. I'm creative. I come from a artistic background. I'm currently still a hairdresser, 30 years in.
Oh, wow.
I used to DJ. Mm-hmm. So this whole creative process, it just took me over. It's almost like learning how to cut a bob. You get in the beginning, you want to learn how to cut a great bob, but you need to put the work in to learn how to cut that bob. Mm-hmm. And as you put the work in, then the creative part comes out. Mm-hmm. Once you know how to cut it correctly, then you can do all kinds of cool things. And so video was the same thing. And I just had to put the reps in. And, I have ADHD and it's hard to, my brain is thinking about a million things. So it was really hard, but it was so creative. It gave me such satisfaction that I could see if I had to quit real estate tomorrow, I know I could do a million different things with media part because I love it. Yeah. And I think that everybody needs to find their zone that they, they want to get into. I'm just curious about, so for you, is this something you're just super passionate about? Do you really obsess about it on a daily basis? Just how you're creating and doing things, because you create a lot of cool content. There's a lot of value put out there. And so I know that it's something that you'll always have to kind of outdo yourself or keep it going.
Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like it's been for the past 4 years now. It's been like just an ongoing, endless conversation between me and like the audience or, our community. Because I don't feel like I ever run out of ideas of what to post about. Because I like right now, how I told you before we started recording, I was talking about I was creating a YouTube video on email marketing. It's because people have been asking me, and it's just like, so these questions come up, and then after that video where I teach them about that, there's like the next topic to talk about. And it's kind of like goes along with like my life and what I'm working on too. Like I'm working on our email marketing, and here's what's working for me. And then I'll probably talk about video marketing and how I started. Like right now I'm learning how to create long form videos and cut them into short form videos and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually I'll probably be sharing what I learned from that too, so that they can learn that. So I feel like it's just always like I'm wanting to like, I feel like I just want to like solve the problem a lot. And like, if someone says they don't understand something, I'm like, okay, let me put this, like from my content that you've seen, I love making carousel posts on Canva and just like making them really fun to swipe through and engaging and like,
and so clean.
Yeah,
so
I just
clean.
love to like,
So clean.
those are my favorite things to make. I just love them.
Your profile grid is like, I look at it, it's like, look at the color tones here. It's like, it's different hues, but she's got this whole thing. It's like,
That's so funny. That's the goal.
I don't know. I just home in on weird things like that, but I just like look at her. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is just, so perfect.
It's cohesive.
I just love the.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. But yeah, I mean, I think like I said, I love like designing things and making things in Canva. So that, yeah, I could do that all day and I could be obsessed with that. But when it comes to the other types of content, like you kind of mentioned, just writing and like flat out writing isn't my favorite thing. Or videos have freaked me out. I can't rewatch a video of myself. Like we'll have the talk and I'll never watch it probably.
I told you. Yeah. That's I've had I've had a lot of people reach out, not just agents, but about the voice. I hate my voice. I'm like, you're going to do 100 videos. Your voice is your voice.
Yeah,
you'll get right past that scenario. Yeah. I don't like this about how I look. I'm like, no one cares.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever looked at a video or listened to a podcast and been like, ugh, I mean, I guess maybe, but just kidding.
Yeah,
it depends.
So is that why most of your videos have been like you working and doing the captions? Is that part of it? Because you like have that dialed in too.
Yeah, I think that's for me is like a little cheat code that I like to use.
Yeah.
The B-roll, we call them B-roll style reels. So if you just record a clip of you working for a couple seconds and then you can make it whatever you want, you can use it to create a reel, because reels get seen by people who aren't already following you, where carousel posts are seen by people who are already following you. They're more for like nurturing your current audience. So if I want to post reels and I feel like speaking to the camera or creating something crazy, I'll just take a little clip of me working and then I can store them in an album and grab ones from the past and put them up and put some tips on top. So if you have something you want to just like a quick tip to share, I feel like that's a good way to do it. But yeah, I feel like partially it's just easier than having to make a whole video, I think.
Yeah. And it's faster and you don't have to really overthink the fact that you're like, okay, I'm going to have to deliver this video. I got to really think through how I get this script, dialed in and how I'm going to execute on it. If you just have the caption ready, it's pretty easy to kind of put the video together. And it's a good way to kind of, if you are shooting videos, it's a good way to fill gaps in your weeks. If you just, you start shooting the talking head videos and then, you have those in there, you got a carousel in there and you kind of got your week going and you can kind of then take your chances on other types of content that you want to start to put out that might, take more time to figure out, like the editing part. We just did this one recently and going back to kind of things that are like hit pieces that I find online, there was a story about a land scam about this gentleman owned this piece of land, and he showed up in this neighborhood, and there was a brand new $1.5 million home getting built on his land. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
this whole big thing. Yeah, it was crazy. The attorney got scammed by this person out in South Africa, got power of attorney, sold the land to a builder, and the builder built a $1.5 million home in this neighborhood that doesn't even have houses that are 1.5, like this, you could tell it's gonna be this beautiful, ranch style home and stuff. And so I read the article. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make a video on this one. This is gonna be good. And so basically what it was just me recording, looking at the screen, reading the article. But then we broke up this video into different parts and added little sections and took the scammers that contact me on a daily basis through Instagram. Like, hey, I need you to sell my land in San Jose. Here's my WhatsApp. I'm like, okay, cool. So we stuck that in there too, but we layered so many different pieces. And it goes back to those videos where I say, okay, this is going to get me 500 views, but this one's going to get me 30,000. And of course that video got 30,000 because it was shock treatment, but it took a long time to work through that, and took a lot of time out of my day because I get super obsessed about it. You know what I mean? Like, video can do that. That's where it goes back to it. It's a whole nother business. I know there's agents that bulk record, do it in one day and shoot, 30 videos in a couple hours. It's a great strategy, but you also have to get to that point that you're that confident to shoot and have those scripts ready.
Oh yeah. For sure.
So you're getting the questions from your audience, and that's what you're going to start to create your long form on. Is that kind of the direction you're going to take YouTube?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I typically like to put up a story with like a question sticker every week and see what people are struggling with. I'll word it differently sometimes and just say like, do you have any questions? Or I could even say, I'm making a YouTube video. What do you want me to talk about?
That's cool.
And I also think there's a lot of things that I've talked about already on Instagram and carousel posts or in captions that could be actually turned into a YouTube video. So I feel like I have a lot of topics to choose from for a while. And then hopefully it would just kind of flow from there.
Yeah. I think you're going to be surprised. I started doing some dabbling in YouTube videos. I started with talking heads, kind of, market updates and different things. And I was blown away. I did my first one, and it was like 11 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, that went by so quick. Like, I can't believe I talked that much. Like it's almost scary in the beginning, but it's like you talk on a topic and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, 11 minutes in. I mean, I'm not doing 30 minutes, but I think you're going to be surprised how fast you start really cranking them out.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of this is that you can write a script for this long form video that you can also turn into a blog post that also turns into a weekly email newsletter.
Yeah.
And then you can cut your video up into reels, and then you can cut that, the script up into posts. And I think a lot of it is like having people to help you take one piece of content and cut it up into a bunch of other different pieces of content. And then it does end up saving you time.
100%. Yeah. I mean, one piece of content, can go a long way on multiple platforms on top of your newsletter, to the blog. I was even thinking, I was trying to look into something a little different recently about doing more of a text message marketing type scenario, maybe bi-monthly, but build out a group in my phone that are past clients or just friends, family, different things, but try to make it in a unique way where it's not just, okay, and we're going to talk about real estate or here's what's going, like just unique things that would kind of get engagement with them besides just the newsletter. I'm always trying to just figure out new ways to try to inspire the audience or bring some value or something unique that, maybe could lead to a new conversation. That's kind of a big deal. When was the first time you looked into ChatGPT? Like what? I know it had to have been somewhere between November and now.
Yeah.
But when you got introduced to it, like what were your first thoughts on it?
my first thoughts were like, "Oh no, this is gonna take me out." And
Oh, yeah.
I thought
That's
that it was gonna I was like, I'm
that's
done. I'm
not happening.
through." But then so I mean I found out about it like when it launched and was all in the news and stuff. And then started using it and I was like, "Oh wait, I gotta tell our members about this and how to use it." And so started doing a lot of like prompts of specifically like with our captions that we provide to members, showing them how they can, you know, create a prompt that says, "I am a real estate agent in Tampa. I like this is my information about me, and this is what makes me unique, and whatever. This is my tone of voice. Can you rewrite this caption into a TikTok video that is under 60 seconds, and then paste the caption, and it'll just like regenerate it for them perfectly." So I realized that I could be using ChatGPT for us instead of being afraid that it was going to, you know, put us out of business.
Yeah, I know that was definitely a big part, especially with like copywriters and,
Mhm.
oh, that's it. But that's not the truth. You still have to have, you have to be creative enough to understand how to like lay things out. Like it's
Yeah.
still the creative mind. It's a great tool, but it needs somebody there to kind of prompt and come up with the cool ideas so it can spit it out.
Yeah,
And a lot of
exactly.
people, a lot of people don't know how to use it that way. So, it probably moves you faster through working with your clients, right? It saves you a ton of time.
For sure. Yeah. It helps to come up with ideas. It's helped me so much with even like just like things for our internal like tools and hiring people and stuff like that. Like you can
Yeah.
put in like different job descriptions and be like, how are these jobs going to work together? And have it like write you a job description
It's
just
crazy.
so quickly. Yeah.
It's so
Um,
nuts.
so I love it for that. And then also, and you really have to like work with it for the content creation because it's sometimes it's just so cheesy.
Yeah. How do you get tones? I'm struggling with, I, I asked it a question. I can't remember. I can't phrase it correctly, but I asked it to be more stern and not so
Mhm.
happy sounding,
It'll
and it
go
just couldn't
take
do
it
it.
to an extreme too. Like if you say it's so funny if you say like, "Can you be a little more casual?" To be like, "What's up, guys?" Like it tries to get really well, I'm like,
I know.
"Calm down, not that casual." But one thing that really works is giving it an example. So if you send like a
Mm,
caption that you really like but at the same time sometimes it'll like copy that caption exactly as it was, like if it has, you know, something with like it'll really replicate it too much and you have to be like, all right, let's make it a little unique but still that type of style. Like sometimes you just have to pretend like it's a real copywriter and you're giving it feedback.
as far as agents that come, they sign up with you. Are you getting, are they having one-on-ones with you as well, collaborating with your team? How does that look as far as when they first sign up and they're a part of
Yeah.
your community? How does
So
that look?
we have weekly calls in the Facebook group where they can come in and ask me any questions. Um, it's like office hours pretty much. We have
Okay.
that weekly, and then one of our partners is Eric from the Broke Agent. So him and I go live once a month as well, and just answer questions that anyone has. Or sometimes we'll just go on and talk about like a particular topic, like what's been working for us recently with our personal marketing. So that's kind of what it looks like. We have support via email too, just every day, like 9 to 5. But we do have those weekly office hours, which I think are really helpful.
Definitely. Do you pull a lot of inspiration from people outside of real estate as far as how you bring it into what you do for clients in real estate, as far as, like who you follow, like inspiration
Hmm.
wise? Because I find that I try not to follow a lot of agents, and it's
Hmm.
not that I don't want to follow them, but I also don't want to morph into the same stuff. So I follow a lot of like different kind of creators to kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, that's it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I hate to admit this, but I do a lot of a lot of TikTok research. And by that, I mean, I end up
Ah,
scrolling on TikTok for like 2 hours
yes.
at night, just like laughing and watching things. But a lot of the videos that I watch are just about like a lot of the science behind the marketing as far as like hooks and grabbing people, getting their attention, keeping them engaged and all that kind of stuff. But it's more on like a brand level. But I still think it's super interesting and it can be like related to real estate in some ways.
Definitely. Have
Yeah.
you are you big on TikTok as well? Or do you use
Not
that platform?
as, yeah, we don't post on TikTok as coffee and contracts.
Hmm.
I just feel like right now there's not a ton of real estate agents on TikTok. And I've just been using it more for like personal stuff. But so I haven't really gotten too into that. I just kind of watch over there more than I create.
Yeah, it's a different. I just had this conversation with my assistant before jumping on, and she said, "So I heard you want to change your account. You want to start a brand new one." Because I was having uh, one of my VAs in the Philippines post onto TikTok,
Hmm.
but TikTok knew it wasn't me, so it kept like just throttling the views down, and I wasn't really creating content for TikTok. It was more like I was just reposting stuff from
Yeah.
Instagram onto there. And the more the more and more I'm on TikTok, it's almost like one of those platforms where you just like say whatever you want and you
Yeah.
be as raw as you want when you
Yeah.
want. And
It's a
that's what
different
they,
vibe.
it's a whole different vibe. And you can get, you know, you could be upset one day, you could be happy the next, you could do all kinds of things. And that's what they want. They really don't want everything to look like it's super polished.
Hmm.
And the way the younger generation markets, it's just so unique to pay attention to and how
Hmm.
they pull things off. It's just a
Yeah.
whole different ballgame. And it's great to obviously bring it into Instagram or anywhere else. It's just, yeah, we're living in a wild time when it comes to
Yeah.
media, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I would tell you this crazy story, but it's kind of it's a TikTok story, but it's pretty rated R. I'll try to give a PG version, but just somehow it was just this video of this guy, and he's got a lot of tattoos, and he's interviewing. It looks like hip hop, artists, maybe young artists. And I don't know them. They're probably new, and some reason I'm just keeps getting these same videos, and
Mhm.
it's like, you know, half naked girls, and then it's this, and this is why, and
Mhm.
it's like this guy's running, adult entertainment podcast on top of this whole, like he's got a warehouse and he's got a media business built out on TikTok. And I was
Yeah.
just like this is insane.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many different people with different avenues on, especially on TikTok,
Yeah.
that are just crushing it in business because it's what those people want. And all
Mhm.
these advertisers go to it and they're like, okay, this is what the audience wants and I'm going to pay them.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. I feel like TikTok could work for a real estate agent. I've seen it work for people that are super niche and
Yeah.
like talking about something really specific on their page and just consistently doing that. And they're also really good at like the way they create the videos and keeping people's attention and stuff and creating
Yes.
content that's like meant to go viral. But I feel like on the other hand, where I think TikTok could work for a real estate agent is if they are kind of taking more of like a lifestyle slash like vlogger approach and they're kind of recording a day in the life of a real estate agent and that maybe they're kind of just showing up as like their own personal brand, but on the side they are a real estate agent, but that's not the main point of the account. Like they're not
Yes.
they're not sharing real estate tips, they just happen to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So speaking of that, is that something that you talk to agents about as far as building a brand and not just only talking about real estate? And like, are you there to help them kind of get into other avenues of what they're into? Are they into what their hobby? Are you pushing them in that direction too? And
We
how
talk
does that
about
all
that a lot. Yeah, that's
do
kind of
you?
like
Okay.
a pillar of what we talk about, is just, obviously not just showing up as we talk primarily about Instagram, but not just posting, home maintenance checklist tips and things that people don't really care about and telling them that they have to show up, and show a little bit of their day in the life of a real estate agent and what they're doing, and share their hobbies, and incorporate like what makes them unique into their marketing. Like we were just talking about with like what kind of value you could provide on your email newsletter, take into consideration like what your niche is, or like what makes you unique. So if you're like super into fishing and you sell waterfront homes, you can include a section in your email newsletter that's like the weather report, or like secret fishing spots that you love and stuff like
Yes.
that. So yeah, we talk a little bit about that. I think it's super important.
Funny enough that you brought that up. You gave me a pretty amazing idea, and it's on our list of starting to
Nice.
do. Yeah, it was. I think people miss a lot of opportunities on social media, and let's just say for what you do, it took me 15 seconds to see one little thing that you said that brought value while I was checking out a Target.
That's awesome.
Okay, no, you know what I'm saying? Like this is where we are in this world.
Mm-hmm.
I literally went, okay, Haley just gave me such a great idea. And you were talking about going to it. So look, I race mountain bikes. So I race all around the world, and I get a lot of clients that ride mountain bikes or are cycling. And, it's easy. I meet them at first. We start talking about bikes. Then we get into real estate, and then we're going on rides. And we're going on rides for 3 to 4 hours. So I then become my friends. I don't have to worry about once we close that I need to send, hey, I'm still here, because it's a bad breakup at the end. You close this deal and it's, that's it. You can stay in contact, but now I can call them up and we can go on a ride. But you said, get into what you're into and start building content around that. Like go. So I told my assistant, we're going to go do some interviews at bike shops. And we're going to go to some fitness places, and we're going to talk about, we're just going to dial into that. And I live in San Jose, and a lot of people ride. Silicon Valley is filled. Cycling is like golfing out here. So that gave me a great idea. And my brain just went, okay, I'm going to put this idea. And that was just a quick little piece of information that you provided. But that can take my business and what I'm into so far. And sometimes I take stuff that I put up for granted, but then when somebody reaches out and says that it really changed, their perspective on something or push them to do, that's pretty powerful. And you just never know. Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. And I think you just posted that scenario. It was just recent.
Yeah. I love that. It gave me a bunch of ideas too. I was like, you should record. I don't know how fast you go on those things, but I was like, if you could set up your camera right there, give a little.
Oh, where? On the rides?
Like on your bike, can you set up a camera? Or would it be too fast?
This is great. So I just picked up the Insta 360 about a month ago. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Picked it about a month ago. My wife and I were going to go to Bali and Singapore, and so I'm like, I'm going to take it there, learn how to use it, and come back. And the big thing is going to be mounted on my bike.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so we took it on my bike, and I went out with my client, and we spent 3 hours in Santa Cruz riding. But we were not just riding; we were like stopping and then talking about him selling this car that he's flipping this car, so like we got this crazy content of him car flipping and then us like ripping a trail.
Yeah.
So now I'm chopping that up and making content. But I put out content on cycling a lot. And it's funny enough, that's where I get a lot of DMs is from that.
Yeah.
Exactly. What kind of bike is that? What kind of bike should I get? I want to go do cross country, and I want a townie. It's a great conversational piece. Or even the crazier stuff too is they'll ask like, what kind of helmet do you have? What is that jacket? So it's completely nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love, honestly, because it's just, I'd rather that be the secondary and, be connected in ways that if we met, we could talk about a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And that's just that little part that you did. It's like, okay, next thing is interviewing fitness places. And I'm going to go
Mhm.
all types of fitness, not just cycling, runners and coaches, trainers,
Mhm.
nutritionists. I kind of
Yeah.
thought of all those. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns into like what that ideal client is that is interested in is all of that. It's not just the cycling.
Yes, it's huge. And
Mhm.
it takes away the sales part too for me. And I think
Yeah.
that when I first got into real estate, Facebook was big and you would sell a house and an agent would post it on Facebook and it'd be a bow on the door with the buyers with a sign that said sold and they're like happy. And I just I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It just felt so wrong. And
Can I
this
take a
funny
picture of
fast
you?
forward. Yeah. Everything was perfect. It was
Yeah.
such a great transaction. It's like, no,
No,
that's
it
not
wasn't.
what went down. It maybe was a smooth transaction, but I bet your buyers were up at night trying to, discuss some crazy thing that you had told them or some
Mhm.
stress point that they never told you through the whole transaction.
Yeah.
Fast forward, the buyers that now are my friends, Gabe and Lauren, the guy that works at Specialized, the cyclist, I interviewed them after the fact, put them on my
Mhm.
podcast and just said, I want to talk about the whole transaction. I want you to tell me things that you were thinking about that you never told me. Like, what were you
Ooh.
stressed out about?
Mhm.
And they went deep and it
Oh,
was
wow.
fantastic. It was
Yeah.
just such a great, you know, just the things that maybe they felt like they didn't want to say, or, the stress points of, what happens if I buy a house and I lose my job.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, Lauren did right
Wow.
after she bought the house.
Mhm.
But they had, learned to save money and have cash reserves. She got a job after that.
Yeah.
But this whole, all this led up into just trying to think out of the box about
Yeah.
things. I
Yeah.
think it's just wild. It's a
Yeah.
wild time.
Yeah.
So we're going to look forward to this from you too, because now you're going to be telling us a lot of your journey of how you shoot content and the pain points. And I didn't even have any clue that I didn't realize you weren't. I know that I've seen you on your caption videos, but I didn't realize you haven't made full videos.
Yeah, I've done a lot of tutorials. So I do have like YouTube
Oh,
videos that are tutorials or but it's more for like members. So it's more like it's I don't know. It's kind of
oh,
it's
it's
different
because
vibe.
it's different. Well, because it's almost like it's your own little community. So are you
Yeah,
more comfortable?
it's not
Yeah.
like I'm trying to market anything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, okay, here's how you do this. I'm not like starting with a hook and then like giving some value. Like it's just like
Yeah.
a more tactical, like let's set up this landing page.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
St. Pete still.
Okay. What do
Yeah.
you do? What do you do for fun? Like, what are you into?
Um, I'm into fitness as well, not cycling,
Okay.
but more like weightlifting and stuff like that. I just bought a van actually, and
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
so
You're gonna start
hopefully
traveling around and yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I have some golden retrievers and I like to travel, but I don't like to travel without them. So that's the compromise is to take them with.
Oh, that's cool. What type of van? What did you get? Did you get a Sprinter?
Yeah, I haven't
Really
taken it
cool.
anywhere yet. But
When did you buy it?
I
Just
bought it a
recently?
couple months ago. Yeah, or maybe like a month or so ago.
So you got a good deal.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Well, you got a better deal than what was going on during COVID
That's true. Yeah.
because the only reason I can say this is we want to buy a Sprinter van.
Oh, really?
And yeah, because I just want to get away on the weekends and just decompress and, go
Yeah.
into nature and come back,
Hmm.
a little bit more clear headed. And
Yeah.
it wasn't the time wasn't right, but so I was on this guy's mailer and he keeps sending them. These vans were 200,000. I'm getting them now. They're 130. I'm like,
Yeah, they have
okay.
gone down a lot.
Interest rates are higher.
Everybody's selling their vans from COVID as well. That's where I think
Yeah.
I bought mine from someone who bought it during COVID and they actually never used it. And it was just sitting in their driveway. And then he actually wanted to sell his house or he was selling his house and buying another one. So he needed some funds.
Oh, that's great. Did you,
Yeah.
are you going to redesign the inside of it and make it all cool or is it already done?
It's already done pretty much. It was a converted van, so I could do some things maybe to make it a little more personalized and dog friendly, but
Definitely.
no plans yet. I think we can use it as it is right now.
Where do you plan on going? Like, do you have some plans there you want to
So
go travel to?
yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, my brother and best friend live in California. They live in um, San Diego, Newport Beach area. So there's definitely a trip that to that coast that needs to be planned. Going to California and staying there for a little bit.
You'll have a great time in California. There's so
Yeah,
much cool spots on the coast, like Big Sur.
yeah,
Uh, you're going to be blown away. You'll just be
yeah. I did
parking
a
at
road
places.
trip on the Pacific Coast Highway without a van, but just in the car, and it was just so beautiful. It would be super cool to be able to stop more places along the way.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I really appreciate you accepting jumping on my podcast.
Yeah, of
I
course.
never
Thanks for
know.
having me.
Yeah, I never know. It's kind of this weird thing. I follow Rich Roll on his podcast and I will listen to one of his podcasts. I get so damn inspired. I literally want to call him on the phone, because I feel like I know him. It's just this
Yeah.
weird thing. And this is what's going on now with my podcast. Something resonates with the person I bring on, and then I try to go after them and fingers crossed I'm going to get them on because I don't
Mhm.
know, some people are super busy or I don't know. I'm just starting off. I think I've done 4 episodes now.
Oh, nice.
So, so I really appreciate you jumping on and, taking time out of your day to, do this and
Yeah, of course. It's
give some
fun.
great information to our audience. And then, so for everybody listening, where can they find you?
On Instagram at Coffee Contracts, and then our website is coffeecontracts.com. My personal Instagram is Hey Ingram, Hay Ingram, but Coffee Contracts is where you can find us. It would be Coffee and Contracts, but that was already taken, so had to
I was
settle.
wondering that when I saw that too. I was looking, I was like,
I
I
asked to
was going
buy
to
the
keep,
domain, but it was expensive, so
oh,
that's
really? Oh, wow.
okay.
You're like, cool. I'll just keep this one.
Yeah,
Well,
it's fine.
I appreciate your time, Haley. Thanks a lot for joining and
Yeah, thank you so much.
giving
This
us all
was
your
fun.
cool insights and, best of luck for everything you're doing and just keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for the great tip for
Yeah, of
my,
course.
my new
I'm glad it
content.
was
I really
helpful.
appreciate that. It's good for you to understand that too. Like that one little 10-second scenario put me in a
Yeah,
whole nother direction.
I
So
love that. And
definitely
the Target
appreciate it.
checkout, that's great. I love that so much.
It's awesome. All right. Well, you have a great day and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too. Thank you.